It's about choosing to live to a standard that when you attack that standard every single day and the disciplines that'll cause you to win, the byproduct is winning at very high levels.
Welcome back to another episode of The Burn. I'm your occasional co-host, Tyler, and this week we are taking you to Las Vegas for Ryan Pineda's event, WealthCon. Earlier this year, Ben kicked off Ryan's event, WealthCon, in Las Vegas with a powerful training that we wanted to share with you today on this episode. This training will help you understand a framework that will help you live your life with more intention and not waste a single day. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy this special training and episode of the show.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I got 25 minutes, so we can't be standing like that. You feel me? To each and every single one of you, I want to get right down to it because Ryan, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity, mentioned something about going deeper, about establishing clarity, about having a belief of where you can go in your life. So I wanted to start by getting real with all of you and having a conversation with you. How many of you have been waking up every day, gambling away your life one day at a time? Saying to other people how bad you want it, one day at a time. Recognizing there's days where you give it everything that you've got, but then there's days where you miss, one day at a time. How many of you have just gambled day after day after day after day after day? I want to share a story with you about a deck of cards. I had the opportunity back in 2016 to share the stage with an individual who shared a story about a deck of cards. A story about a deck of cards that I had never heard before. The story went like this. This young man lived in a home where his mother was being physically abused by his stepfather. He, as a young boy, would watch as his stepfather would put his hands on his mother day after day after day. This young boy was actually removed from the house. They turned the garage into his bedroom. One day he says to his mom, he says, "Mama, will you go to the grocery store and buy me a deck of cards?" His mom doesn't even ask why and brings the deck of cards back home to her son. Her son opened up the deck of cards with the box just like I did right in front of you. And he took out that first card and he looked at it and he said, "A 4." And he would prop his feet underneath the bottom of the bed so it'd be nice and tight, and he would do 4 sit-ups. And then after he would do those 4 sit-ups, he'd flip over and he'd hit 4 push-ups. He'd flip the next card, another 4. Get his feet locked nice and tight underneath that bed, 4 sit-ups. Flip over, 4 push-ups. Then he'd have a 3. Then he'd have a 2. Then he'd have an ace. Ace is 10. Then he'd hit that joker. Joker was 25. What this young man was doing was building up the strength to make sure that that stepfather would never lay a hand on his mother ever again. That young boy built up that strength until one day he felt like he had it in him. just like each and every single one of you, everything you need is already in you. And at some point in time, you're going to make the choice to go get it. And maybe you have to defend yourself. Maybe you have to defend little eyes that are watching you in your house. But you're going to make a choice to say, never again. And you're going to choose to change how you show up in this life with no regret, because we never get a second chance. And he watched his stepfather try to put a hand on his mom again, and he ended it. And never again did it happen. That young boy's name was Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis has been a friend of mine since 2016 when we shared the stage that first time in St. Louis. I'm going to share something with you about Ray. Ray is a misunderstood human being. Ray Lewis is a man that has a fire and passion for life to attack. Ray Lewis is a man, he's got these big, powerful eyes. If you've ever watched a video, he's one of the most inspirational athletes ever. One of the most decorated NFL players of all time. His fire comes out of his eyes, mine comes out of this vein on my neck. I want to tell you guys something. When you see this vein pop, I'm not yelling at anybody today. It's called passion. And if Pineda gives me 25 minutes, you're going to have 25 minutes of everything that I've got. Just like Ray Lewis, every time you ever saw him, you got everything that he had. And before we went on stage that day in 2016 in St. Louis, Missouri, I'll never forget it. I actually made a phone call about that day to the first player that I ever mentored in the NFL. Now I work with over 30 players in the NFL. I worked with players or coaches on the last 6 Super Bowl champion teams. But the first player I ever worked with was in 2013, a young man by the name of Will Compton. At the time, he was an undrafted free agent out of the University of Nebraska. Now you guys know him for an amazing show called Bussin' with the Boys. And Will became like a little brother to me through our work together. And I'm going to share 2 things with you today that will change how you think and change how you take action if you choose to think and take action differently. Same things I shared with Will in 2013. I called Will when I received the phone call about the opportunity to share the stage with Ray Lewis that day. And I called Will and I said, now Will being a linebacker in the NFL, that's a dream. Ray Lewis was his idol. And I said, Will, we're about to make your dreams come true. You get to meet Ray Lewis. You need to be here on this day in St. Louis. He's like, brother, stop. Stop messing with me. I said, no, I'm serious. You're going to meet Ray Lewis. He said, stop messing with me. I don't feel like you messing with me today. I said, brother, you better be here, otherwise you're going to miss the opportunity to meet Ray Lewis. He shows up to St. Louis. We're at the Cigar Club at the Ritz-Carlton. You can picture it's this big, oversized room. On one wall, there are all these couches that line the wall. On the other side, there's this big, oversized mahogany table. Ray Lewis is sitting, smoking a cigar at that mahogany table just to relax before we go take the stage that night together. And Will Compton walks into the room. When they see each other, they lock eyes, and these 2 men, these 2 NFL players, this respect for each other, they see each other, and they come and they meet and they shake hands. Will then goes and he sits on the couch. Ray goes back to the table. A couple of minutes goes by, and all of a sudden, I see Ray Lewis stand up from this table. His eyes get big with that fire you know I'm talking about. And I'm sitting there going to myself, what in the world is about to happen in this room? And Ray Lewis stands up, Will's over on the couch, and he walks over to him. And Ray gets down just like this. And Will's sitting on the couch, and he says, hey, Will, are you ready for me to take you to school? He says, I want to help you understand, Will, when I found the difference in my life. He said, I took it upon myself. I accepted responsibility for myself to break down the game film in my life and on the field. And I decided to make changes. He said, on the football field, by watching film, I recognized when I was 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, I was nasty. But he said, when I moved 1 yard up to 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, they didn't know what to do with me, Comp. And we know the rest of the story, don't we, Comp? For those of you that may not know, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, one of the greatest defensive players to ever walk the face of the earth, first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer, and most importantly, a little boy who found a burn and a fire inside of his heart. That when he realized how strong it was to give his mom her hope and her passion for life back, he realized that was a burn inside of him, like you all have a burn inside of you, that when he stayed connected to it, he could accomplish whatever he wanted to in his life. He found that fire, he found that burn, watching his mom through her pain. Just like many of you, your challenge and adversity oftentimes builds your greatest strength. And then what did he say? He took personal responsibility to look at the game film, to identify this 1 yard. 1 yard was the difference. 1 yard was the difference to become the player that he could be, that we all know him to be now. So the challenge that I have for all of you, and I say this with love and passion, knowing that everything you need is already in you, knowing that so many of you have already done extraordinary things in your life. The goal and the challenge that I have for you is that here at WealthCon, you attack that 1 yard. You attack that 1 yard of your life with the relationships that are in this room, with the speakers that will stand on this stage. I want you to take this opportunity in this moment at this conference right now to never look at your life the same way. To say if Ray Lewis could attack that 1 yard, if he could get right in front of Will Compton's face and essentially he said, Will, attack that 1 yard. And I can tell you I was so proud to watch Will that next year attack that yard and never look back. You see, when I met Will in 2013, he was 7 out of 7 on a depth chart. He was an undrafted free agent told that you will never make it in the NFL. Just like maybe people are telling you right now, and you better be careful who you bring into your life, that maybe you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Maybe you shouldn't go to WealthCon. Why are you doing what you're doing? Small circles create big damage. You better be careful who you bring into your life. Will Compton took that advice from Ray Lewis. I held him accountable to that advice, and he started breaking down game film. He went from an undrafted free agent. At the time of that conversation, he was a starter. By the end of that season, he was the captain of the Washington Redskins and led them to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. So now that I have your attention, can we talk about your 1 yard? Now that we have your attention, can we agree that you're feeling passion? I haven't yelled at anybody yet. Now that I have your attention, I want to share 2 things with you that I have found to be the difference. And I say this as humbly as I possibly can. It's been an amazing blessing. I've been doing this for over 19 years. First time I ever got paid to speak was 2006. 19 years with some of the highest performers to ever walk the face of the earth in business and in sports. And so an opportunity for me to be with all of you, individuals that have already written amazing stories. My belief that your best chapters are in front of you after you attack this yard, and I share a couple of things that might make the difference in how you think and how you take action. How could I not be excited about this opportunity to be with all of you to kick off WealthCon? The secret of the highest performers to ever walk the face of the earth is what I call the burn. You see, there's a lot of coaches and speakers that do the work that I do. And let me just share one thing with you. I am not a motivational speaker. I am a coach. And so if I can't share something with you today that changes how you think and changes the action that you take to drive long-term growth and sustainability, to take that canvas of your imagination, to pull it right down and put it right in front of your face and never think or take action the same way, then that's not enough for me. That's where we have to go together. So I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a coach. And so in coaching, I've learned to know that why and purpose is not enough. It's unbelievably important, but it's not enough. There's a burn that lies inside of each and every single one of you, and it's that burn that ignites your why and purpose on a daily basis, that causes you to show up on the days that you don't feel like it, and especially after you win. You see, just like Ray Lewis, there was pain in his childhood where he established his strength. I grew up in a house where my parents were divorced when I was 6 months old. I never knew them together. My dad was a drug addict, an alcoholic, manic depressive, bipolar, everything under the sun, and my mother said, enough is enough. A handful of years after my mom, as a single mom fighting to make ends meet, she's diagnosed with a rare muscle disease called amyloidosis. Each and every single one of you in your muscles, you have amyloids. If you have an excess of amyloidosis, you have a disease called amyloids, you have amyloidosis. At the time of her diagnosis, 2 hospitals in the United States treating the disease, the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota and the Boston Medical Center. My mother chose Boston, where she went for the first time, and she was told, you're only the second woman under 40 years old I've ever seen or heard of having the disease. You have 2 to 4 years to live. How would you respond? My mother decided to take out an old blue Mead notebook, maybe like you used to have in school. Maybe yours was another color. And she would write, beat the statistics, beat the odds, live with a disease that is chronic and fatal, believe in yourself, combat anything, purpose in life. My mother would battle this disease. To this day, there's still no cure for amyloidosis. We had 24-hour nursing care in the home. I remember when nursing care came into the house, took the belongings out of my mother's TV room, turned it into the makings of a hospital, and my mom every night without fail would put one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, till she'd get to the head of that dining room table. And she'd look over to my brother Drew and say, Drew, how was your day at school? And then she'd pan over to the left and she'd look me dead square in the eyes and say, honey, how was your day at school? You notice I got the honey because I was the younger son? I got to try to get you to laugh a little bit because this is probably not what you expected. My mother passed away 11 days before my 8th birthday. My mother is the greatest champion of life that I've ever known. My mother taught me what it means to fight. My mother taught me what it means to have passion. My mother taught me what it means to have conviction. My mother taught me what it means to never waste a day. On November 2nd, 1986, she passed the pen of that journal on to me to have the opportunity to continue to write her story. And all I want today, with the fire that was lit, the burn that was lit inside of me when I took that pen, is for you to identify your burn and start connecting to it every day. Because that burn has now been lit inside of me and you can't get it to go out. My mother passed away at 38 years old. I'm a 45-year-old man. That means I've been given 7 extra years that my mother never got, one day at a time. And I don't gamble my days away. I own them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I stack them over and over and over and over and over again. I don't want any of you wasting your days. All you have to do is to connect to that burn that lies inside of you. Maybe there's pain or challenge that you've had in your life. Connect to it every day. I promise you won't waste your days. Maybe there's somebody who's made sacrifice for you. Don't waste their sacrifice. Maybe you're sacrificing for somebody right now. They're watching you. You can't waste a day. Or maybe there's somebody who told you that you weren't good enough. You're too small. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you go show them exactly who you are one day at a time. Connect to that burn inside of you. Allow it to light that why and purpose on fire. And watch how you win more in your life. That, my friends, is the secret of the highest performers in the world. They all have it. You probably have it. You maybe haven't heard it referenced that way. Maybe you connect to yours sometimes, but not all the time. First thing I want you to do is for the next 30 days, connect to it every single day when you wake up. I don't care where you put it in your phone. If you keep a journal, I call it a burn journal. You connect to that every single day and watch how your life will never be the same. You take everything that you learned from your 1 yard here at WealthCon. You light your world on fire by connecting to your burn every single day and you watch what happens. Second thing I want to share with you today, having done this for 19 years, I've learned there's a couple things about human performance that we need to cover today. I wish I had more than 6 minutes to go over this. I wish we had more time together. But I'm going to give you an understanding of your ability to connect to this for 2 minutes every single day. So if you connect to your burn and you connect to these 4 P's of the standard, this is going to take you 2 minutes a day. And you adapt this philosophy right here, standard over feelings. I sat in Coach Saban's office in 2017. I'm sitting right in the GOAT's office, and he's interviewing me. And he says, Ben, what are we going to talk about today? I said, Coach, we're going to talk about standard over feelings. Don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. It's about choosing to live to a standard that when you attack that standard every single day and the disciplines that'll cause you to win, the byproduct is winning at very high levels. You see, Coach Saban already knew that that's how winning was done. But it was what I had believed to be the truth because of the winning that I was already doing in college football, the winning I was already doing in the NFL, and the winning that I had done since 2006 with people just like you. And this is the only way that winning is done. It's not about living to your feelings. There's 4 P's that I want you to connect to every single day. This will take you 2 minutes every morning. So imagine, I'm not asking you to ask God for a 36-hour day. I'm just asking you to use the 24 that you got. Maybe with more intentional focus, not focus because focus is not enough. The intentional focus that will cause you to show up differently in your life. And I'm one of those individuals who I'm going to give it to you real. I'm not one of those coaches who talks about riding around on unicorns, planting your feet into the ground and looking up at the sky and saying, Dear God, I hope it happens. You got to pray like it all depends on God and work like it all depends on you. So you have to be honest with yourself that right now, every single one of you, you're probably in the middle of a problem. You just worked your way out of a problem. You might be walking into a problem, or your problem is that you're winning. You see, one of the biggest problems is that when we're winning, we become seduced by success rather than continuing to do the things that cause us to win. So this is simple. Every day, I want you to just identify what the problem is. After you identify the problem, very simply, I want you to do some planning, simple planning. I want you to reverse engineer. What does it look like in your life? What do your best days look like personally, professionally, and in your service to others? What do your best days look like? Reverse engineer them and say, here's what I need to do to win one day at a time. That's the planning. You guys realize how easy this is? I got a 19 on my ACT, so I got to keep it simple, okay? The performance. This is easy. Coach Saban, if you ever would have come to a practice with me at Alabama, he used to say 2 things all the time. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And we don't do things until we get them right. We do things until we can't get them wrong. So this is simple, right? I identify the problem. I've been winning so much. Last quarter was the best quarter that I ever had. You know, a guy like Ryan Pineda, what makes him special, right? Over $100 million in real estate transactions, and they're just getting started. He's hungry for more. He's giving you that hunger to say, don't be seduced by success. Don't be satisfied. You can give more. Maybe when you connect to that burn, and maybe when you connect to this, you'll show up like Ryan and just keep stacking those days regardless of the results. But Ryan shows up and he does the performance piece. He does the work. So all I'm asking you, it's simple. If you know what the problem is, I'm winning so much, then identify what's causing me to win. And then just do it. Keep doing it every day because the payoff is confirmation that the process is working. We live in a world where everybody tells you how great they want to be. A very small group of individuals actually does the work every single day to prove that their words actually mean something to them. I want this to be a room where you choose to attack that yard. You choose to never think the same. You choose to never live the same. You choose to take advantage of the gift that God has given you, and don't you ever waste it. Long obedience in the same direction with aggressive patience. Nobody ever said this would be easy, but you're built for it. And everything you need is already in you, so you might as well take it every single day so that when you get these payoffs, you will not be seduced by success. This is the ultimate. You see, when I do this before, I've got this beautiful handwriting. It gets really bad when I'm live and I get my heart rate going like this. So no seduction of success. When you get the payoff, this is the ultimate in allowing your feelings to dictate how you show up. Silence it. Don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. Live to the standard every single day. Take 2 minutes to connect to these 4 P's of the standard and watch how it changes your life. Be intentional about your ability to connect to your burn every single day. Don't gamble away your days. Have a willingness to look yourself right in the eyes every single day and to look at that yard and to break down your game fill in that accountability mirror and take control of your life. So that winning can be what I believe winning to be for you, which is your ability to look yourself in the mirror one day at a time and say, today I gave it my very best. If you do that, after connecting to your burn, after by attacking these 4 P's, nobody can ever ask any more of you than your very best. And you can never ask any more of yourself than your very best. If there's anything that's holding you back, let it go. Everything you need is already in you. Go take it all. Now we go. Thank you so much for having me.